everybody. Welcome back to Retro Radio, episode 618, coming to you on Monday, September 15th. We're going to look back at USC's 33-17 win over the Purdue Boilermakers on the road in the Eastern time zone even. USC's first since 2012. We're going to talk about it, tell you what it means, tell you what we think it means at least, and so much more. As always, you can follow us on social media at Rant of Troy, email us at rantoftroyfans.com, and our phone number, 818-643-7227, Second Whisper Show. I'm your host, Michael Castillo, joined along with my co-host here in the Rant of Troy studio, live in Los Angeles, Alicia D'Artolo.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. We are back for the Fallout episode. I am excited because this is an episode that I think that is very Michael heavy. I, in the rundown, have a metric crap ton of stuff in here.
You do.
Considerably more than you do.
Because I have nothing in here.
You have nothing in there.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that doesn't mean I have nothing to say. I'm just...
No, it's mostly...
I'm going to wing it. You have clearly done research, which is normally...
Which is good and bad.
Normally, I am not winging it, and normally I have had time to go formulate my thoughts and do a rewatch and do all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That didn't happen today.
No.
Because I had family stuff, so...
but we got so much stuff. We're good.
You've got me covered. Is what I'm hearing.
Where we need to start, though, let's just get right into it. We start with the news. Alicia, when you went to bed last night, I came in on my phone and I was like, doing all my little pea-brained research. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a 9 a.m. game against Illinois. It is. 9 a.m. Saturday, September 27th on Fox. USC and Illinois. As it stands now, a ranked matchup, which we'll get to in a second. SC's first road game in the Big Ten on Big Noon with Fox there. At least SC's 2-0 all time on Big Noon. A very unimpressive 2-0, but 2-0. Your thoughts?
Can you run down those two games? What?
Yes. The COVID game against ASU, the 9 a.m. kickoff at the Coliseum in front of nobody.
Which USC didn't come alive until
3 minutes to go in the game.
Until afternoon, so yeah.
Literally, until afternoon. Yes, it's a very good point, yes. And then the game at Colorado in 2023 where they had a gigantic lead and got really close to blowing it. But won. But they won. There was that dude, Omarion something, who had like 200 receiving yards in the second half alone. Remember that?
Yeah.
But SC won that game. 2-0.
They did.
2-0.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on the time?
This is not good. This is not good. I'm sorry. I know 2-0 and all that kind of stuff, but this takes away our pleasant little staircase metaphor. Just like get a little bit harder, a little bit harder, a little bit harder. It went away after Purdue because of scheduling. So Michigan State being an 8 p.m. Pacific game makes that game like USC has such an advantage there, forcing Michigan State to be playing at 11 p.m. local. Yeah, that it's frankly not fair, in my opinion. And then the week after, again, it's nothing personal because USC is getting screwed by a 9 a.m. kickoff, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern kickoff at Illinois, which was going to be the biggest challenge of the season by far. But it's an even bigger challenge now because USC isn't just fighting its own demons about being on the road. USC isn't just fighting its own demons, going up against a ranked team, as a team that we still don't quite know what the level of this team is and what the consistency of this team can be. To then throw in this added trickiness of playing at a time that, frankly, the players on USC's team, by and large, just never play at this time. They never play football at this time.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the one plus is that USC has done like early practices. So maybe that helps a little bit, but I think this puts USC at a serious disadvantage that makes me much more nervous about a game that I was already nervous about.
Yeah, look at it this way. I think one of the things that SC fans worry about, the thing that at least is seared into my brain, 10 years ago, Stanford going on the road, 9 a.m., Ryan Fields, at Northwestern, and looking like absolute trash, lethargic, bad. We thought Stanford was bad. Then they come in the Coliseum, murder SC a couple weeks later, and they end up being an extremely damn good team, and Christian McCaffrey should have won the Heisman and all that kind of stuff, right? But they look terrible on the road at 9 a.m. Oregon last week won sort of a snoozer at Northwestern, 34-14, I believe, in a very similar situation. Very different than the 69-3 that they won at home the week before to Oklahoma State. Mind you, that was still at home. But, yeah, I think there's going to... And you factor in some, like, okay, if there's a lethargic thing, maybe SC's limited to, like, 75% goodness. We'll just say it makes it more difficult when they're playing a team that is now ranked in the top 10 in Illinois, and a team that in Illinois who has passed their first test, a big win on the road against Duke last week. Well, they're going to play Indiana this week, and I think we'll learn even more. But like, you know, they can't be expected to go into that game at 75% capacity if the time, you know, is a thing like that, and win. So they're going to have to, you know.
I mean, on the plus side,
outpace that.
It will make a win over Illinois more impressive to me, because that will have meant that USC not only was good enough to beat Illinois as a football team, but that USC... That will put aside most of my doubts about whether or not this team has like a chronic road problem. Yes. Because if you can go on the road and win it at 9 a.m. Pacific, then you've clearly figured that out.
No, I agree. I definitely agree there. Paul in the chat says not only the Big Ten refs hate us, the TV networks hate us too. LOL. So here's the issue with. I hear you out, but like the issue is that week's schedule is just not conducive to SC playing at anything but 9 a.m., which is why I told you last night, like, I am 99% sure it's going to be 9 a.m. I should have looked at this earlier and talked about this earlier in the pod, but September 27th, this is the schedule. Oregon Penn State is at night at 9:30 on NBC and the Cock. Sorry, at 4:30. That's the primetime game. That game has been locked in for months. Oregon at Penn State, 4:30 p.m. Okay, that's the primetime game. Then you've got the other games. Rutgers at Minnesota is obviously going to be a Big Ten Network game. UCLA Northwestern, obviously a Big Ten Network game. You have Indiana at Iowa. Okay, that's interesting. Ohio State at Washington. Should be a good game. And SC in Illinois. So then your options are, one of them has to be the 9 a.m. kickoff, and then one of the other ones probably has to go to BTN, and then the other one goes to CBS. Well, if the SC Illinois game is the CBS game, well, then that means Ohio State at Washington is the 9 a.m. That was never going to happen in comparison between the two. You know?
Yeah.
Or then the other option, that we were talking about is if there was another 8 p.m. game, right? They're not going to put Indiana at Iowa at 8 p.m. Pacific. That's not real.
No.
And they're not going to put Ohio State at Washington at 8 p.m. Pacific either. So it all made sense that it had to be the 9 a.m. So I don't think it's the TV networks hating USC. It's just it's the circumstances of everything there.
And the fact is that the refs hate everybody because the refs are incompetent by and large. And the TV networks, it's not that they hate anybody. It's that the curse here from a USC perspective is that USC is a draw that they don't mind putting on Big Noon.
Yeah. No, for sure. The other thing to look at it is it's 11 a.m. kickoff local in Champaign. This upcoming week, Big Noon is in Utah, right? Texas Tech at Utah. It's a 10 a.m. kickoff. So that's the time slot. So things have to happen. This is the reality of the situation. Let's get to the polls. SC is up to number 25, finally ranked in the AP poll. Unranked in the coaches still 28th if you look at others receiving votes. Look at USC's opponents in the AP poll currently now. Oregon up to number 6. Illinois at 9. Michigan 21. Notre Dame has tumbled after their 0-2 start and is 24th. One spot ahead of SC. Notre Dame is 0-2. USC is 3-0. Does that bother you? It doesn't bother me. I don't care.
It doesn't bother me, and I've already gotten in trouble with USC fans who accuse me of propping up USC's rival. But I do not like to be intellectually dishonest, and
as a Notre Dame grad,
as a Notre Dame high school grad,
yeah.
And one of the things that you just have to accept is that Notre Dame's resume is better than USC's, and frankly, most of the teams ranked in front of them. Most of the teams ranked in front of Notre Dame would also be 0-2 with a much wider margin of defeat than the Irish, who have lost 2 games to 2 top 10 teams by a combined 4 points.
Yeah.
That's just the facts. Yell at me all you want, but Notre Dame's 0-2 record with narrow last-second losses to Miami and Texas A&M is more impressive to me right now than USC's 3-0 with wins over Missouri State, Georgia Southern, and Purdue.
The way I look at it is there's nobody in their right mind who actually doesn't think that Notre Dame is one of the top 25 best teams in the country.
Unless they're just blinded by rivalry.
Or you're looking at it that the rankings is strictly and nothing else standings, but it's not standings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just because you lose doesn't mean you have to drop. Just because you win doesn't mean you have to go up. That's a misnomer. But anyway, SC's ranked. So good on the Trojans there. Either way, SC will be going on the road next week to play Illinois. We'll have to see if SC's the underdog, but you don't have to see if SC's anything because you can head over to Underdog at any moment because football season is back and ready to play over at Underdog Fantasy. My favorite Underdog is the Underdog Fantasy app. Where I can play with as little as $1 and win up to 5,000 times my money. It's all about using your ball knowledge to pick whether a player will go higher or lower than their stat projections. Mix and match with different players and different teams, different sports. This week, Alicia, is Monday Night Football tonight. The Raiders and the Chargers. Here's what I'm doing. Brock Bowers, lower than 6.5 receptions. He's been dinged up, so I think lower than 6.5 receptions is good. Justin Herbert had a bunch of passing yards against the Raiders last year, so I'm going to go higher than 255.5 passing yards. Michael Mayer, the backup tight end for the Raiders, I'm going to go higher, 2.5 receptions. And then IPM, Isaiah Polamau. I'm going to go higher, 6.5 tackles plus assists. You can join me and start making your picks over at Underdog. Download the app today and sign up with promo code Rant of Troy to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. It's promo code Rant of Troy. Millions of fans have already won billions. Making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog, make picks, win money. You must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY, which is 467-369. Alicia, let's get to the game. USC and Purdue. SC wins 33-17. We've been having a little fun stats with Michael segment. This really has sort of evolved, and this is when we were talking about all the stuff I put in the rundown, into me like rambling off all these stats and then asking you questions about it. I think that's what we're going to do today. So, first of all, let's start with the fun stats in the sense of after the Purdue game, SC is now on the podium in these stats. First in total defense nationally. First in total defense, first in defensive touchdowns, first in offensive fourth down rate, first in 40-plus yard plays, first in 50-plus yard plays, second in the country in passing yards, scoring, interceptions, sacks, tackles for loss, red zone defense, and touchbacks, third in the country in yards per pass attempt, and third in 30-yard pass plays. 30-yard plays all told. So, SC doing great in a million things, right? Let's talk about the defense. There's been ups and downs on the defense. The good side of the defense so far, red zone defense. We talked about it. They're number 2 in the country. 42.9% of red zone trips are ending up in scores. The opponents have had 7 red zone trips against USC through 3 weeks. 3 interceptions, 2 touchdowns, 1 field goal, and 1 Clay Helton game abandonment. But more interceptions than touchdowns. The same number of interceptions as scores. You talk about SC being a bend don't break defense. That sort of bears that out. One of the conversations we've had before is it a bend don't break defense in results, or is the goal to be a bend don't break defense? I don't know. Part of that is you have to see a trend form that is a reliable long-term trend, right? The other good things for the defense, really good interceptions we talked about, really good sacks, first nationally in sacks, 14 in 3 games after a season in which they had only 21 in 13 games. So they're already 2/3 of the way to last year's total through just 3 games. That's really good. The run defense, you and I were...
I'm taking care of it.
Yeah, all right. You and I were talking about how, in the game, it looked like Devin Mockabee from Purdue was getting a lot of opportunities to run. Looking back at it, I don't know that was completely the case, but it was a little hit and miss. Purdue's running backs in the game ran for 3.1 yards per carry with 35% rushing success rate. Compare that to Georgia Southern, whose backs were over 6 yards per carry and had a 48% success rate. So that's improved against Purdue. Devin Mockabee has all told 12 carries, 45 yards. He averaged 3.8 yards per carry. 5 of his 12 runs were for 0 or negative yards. That's seemingly really good, right? 5 of 12. But 6 of his 12 runs were for 5+. So I think that epitomizes what this defense looked like against Purdue, in which there was good and there was bad and equal parts. Maybe not equal parts because SC, still got the turnovers and those are really good, right? Let's talk about the struggle buses of the defense. 122nd in the country on 4th downs. 4 of 6 have been converted against the Trojans. This is something we saw last year, right? That was the big concern that kept going over and over and over again, the Groundhog Day of the 4th downs. And then the other thing, and this is going to sort of come up, I think LA Fred had a call to the Rant Line, which we'll get to later, and it mentions this. The cushion over the middle that SC's defense has provided through 3 weeks, but especially against Purdue. Purdue's quarterback Ryan Brown was 7 of 8 for 122 yards on mid-range passes over the middle. That's defined as targets between the hashes 5 to 14 yards downfield, right? The middle of the field. 7 of 8 for 122 yards. In the second half alone, 3 third down catches that Purdue had yak of 14, 20, and 31 yards after catch. you can't have that, right? Michael Jackson III, former Trojan, had 70 receiving yards, but 65 of yak. This is like one of the things that we talked about USC being really good at last year was tackling. And I don't know that missed tackling was as much of the issue against Purdue than just the cushion. There was a lot of room for guys to catch the ball and move. And then last point here before I throw it to you and ask you what the hell all of this means. Let's sort of talk about turnover luck. So per Bill Connolly, his metrics have found that 50% of fumbles, any fumble, offense or defense, is recovered. You recover 50%, on average, 50% of the fumbles. Basically a coin flip. The ball hits the turf, it's a coin flip about whether or not you're going to recover it, right? Passes, 21% of passes defended. Pass defended is one that the defense touches, right? So a pass breakup or an interception combined. Those are passes defended. 21% of those are interceptions on average. So then the idea is that turnover luck is when you are above or below those percentages by some sort of drastic measure, because then it's like you're over recovering fumbles, right? Like if you recovered 90% of fumbles in a season, that means that like you've been fortunate that your fumble luck has been good because you've been recovering them all, right? So I looked at Bill Connolly's numbers, and by the way, this started with looking at last year's numbers, which is insane. SC was 133rd in expected turnover margin at an expected turnover margin of negative 12.2, which that feels right for what last season was, right? But last season, in reality, SC's turnover margin was -3. You put it all together, SC was the 5th luckiest team in college football last year. They were funny. Lucky last year? What?
Insane.
Yeah. Anyways, let's talk about this season with the turnover luck. There's been 6 fumbles. SC has fumbled twice, the opponents 4 times. SC's only recovered 1 of them. So if we're talking fumbles, SC is unlucky. Not lucky with recovering fumbles. But let's talk about defended passes. USC's defense has defended 11 passes. They've intercepted 6 of those. They're intercepting 66% of passes defended, which is way above the 21% average. SC's opponents have defended 6 passes, 0 interceptions. That's kind of hard to gauge because it's incomplete data, right? Like we need a pick to happen to really understand the percentages there. So I think it all comes down to be that, you know, my biggest question about putting all this together is, does this feel like 2022 to you? Or does it feel like 2024 to you? Or is this a mix and match of both things? Because the 2022 team was a team that relied heavily on turnovers, a lot of turnovers, a lot of negative plays in terms of sacks and tackles for loss, and turnovers. And they used those to win close games. There were a lot of close games. The ASU game was close. The UCLA game obviously was close. The Utah game didn't go in their favor. But the Arizona game was close. Like Oregon State, very close. Like all these close games, they won in part because of their turnovers. And because they were able to get a sack and a negative play when they needed it, even though they were giving up a crap ton of points week in and week out. So limited data, only through 3 weeks, and they only give up 17 to Purdue. But like, do you see signs that there's comparisons to 2022 at least?
Yeah, and I think that there's positive comparisons and negative comparisons there. I think that my concern is that what happened in 2022 was the first half of the season, the turnover luck was rolling. USC was getting all these turnovers, and the defense was doing a good job. The moment the turnovers dried up, the defense fell apart. Now there were factors that went into that. Obviously, we think that Eric Gentry's injury played a role in how the defense performed for the rest of that season. And now he's on the field for USC. But it is still a concern that this defense is so dependent on like a game-breaking play and so soft otherwise. Because I think that eventually you have to expect the pendulum to swing back the other way and maybe not dry up as bad as it did in the tail end of the 2022 season, but still dry up a little bit more where those long runs that they give up are more devastating, or those fourth down conversions that they give up are more devastating. The third down catches with a lot of yak are more devastating because USC frankly got away with it in this game, and you can tip your cap to Bishop Fitzgerald for that, and you can tip your cap to Josh Jarrett for that. But you can't always rely on a player making that play, or even more importantly, an opposing team giving you those opportunities. Because Bishop Fitzgerald doesn't intercept those passes unless those passes are thrown in an area of danger. And Josh Jarrett doesn't catch that ball and bumble and stumble down to the end zone unless the quarterback is sort of trying to heave the ball away. On the flip side of that, I don't want to be completely negative or pessimistic here, but on the flip side of that is perhaps the biggest difference you could project for this team compared to the 2023 and 2024 team is that this team does have some pass rushing firepower. Mm-hmm. At least it feels like they do. And I don't think it's a coincidence that the defense got worse the fewer sacks they were getting, the fewer players they had that were capable of getting into the backfield and bringing down a quarterback, or getting into the backfield and creating havoc plays with tackles for loss. This team has done a rather good job of that so far. There are I put on Twitter, they're 66% of the way to last year's total in sacks. Last year, USC had 21 sacks in total. Right now, they have 14. So, it's a huge difference. Obviously, the level of competition is different, that it's sort of hard to figure that one for one. But a team that relies on creating turnovers to overcome the fact that they might cede you a bunch of yards is that you create a lot more turnovers if you fluster quarterbacks and you put them in a state of desperation, and you force them to make decisions faster than they want to make them. So if USC's, I think that, again, if you're going to make the 2022 comparison, I don't think it's a coincidence at this point that who is, again, USC's leading sack, who leads USC in sacks. It's Eric Gentry. So you have a havoc-creating linebacker on the field. Your edges, Cam Fountain and Anthony Lucas and Braylon Shelby, the three primary edge rushers that you have, each have 2+ sacks this season, which is, well above the pace of what any of them were doing last year. Braylon Shelby led the team with 3 sacks, and he didn't really get a lot of run until a little bit later in the season. So they are getting into the backfield more capably. They are creating more of these plays, and they are leading to turnovers. Directly, we can see the Josh Jarrett pick 6 is because of pressure. It's because of pressure that arrives. And I think there's correct me if I'm wrong, but on that play, they bring a blitz. A blitzing DB comes in and forces that pressure. Maybe I can't remember exactly if USC brought a blitz on the second Bishop Fitzgerald interception, but that's late enough in the game that, like, it's entirely possible this quarterback is starting to get jittery, and the quarterback is starting to just try to get rid of the ball before realizing that there's a safety that's lurking there. So the number of sacks starts to pile up and starts to weigh on a quarterback as the game goes on, which gives you a better chance late on in a game to close out a game in a way that USC last year was incapable of, because they just let teams be way too comfortable and quarterbacks be way too comfortable and just get what they wanted. So in that sense, it is a little bit of like which side will win the day, as far as these two factors that USC is coming in. Can the sack production and thus the turnover forcing luck, creating your own luck, as it were, will that be the feature of this defense? Or when the schedule starts to get more difficult, when USC faces up against better Big Ten teams, will we see the exact same problems that we saw last year, where this team is too prone to giving up a big play and struggles to get off the field in key moments, and ends up in a situation that they lose more games that they should. I at this stage, I don't know, and I don't know that we can definitively say yes or no, especially because, I think that, again, and I don't want to put everything, it's unfair to put everything on Eric Gentry, but USC is hanging on by a thread when it comes to, if it really is just Eric Gentry being on the field versus Eric Gentry not being on the field, you don't want it to be a situation where if you have to play a game without Eric Gentry, that you're back in the situation where you don't have anybody else who can be making those kinds of havoc plays. I think that maybe the difference this year is that I'm more confident in a Cam Fountain or a Braylon Shelby, potentially picking up the slack a little bit there if USC has to lose one player or another. But I don't know. It's a long rambling way of saying that, yes, it does feel like 2022 in the best and the worst ways.
Yeah, I think that also, I think it bears mentioning 2023 across town, because UCLA in 2023 led the country in tackles for loss and sacks and all those kind of things. They had Leatu Latu, they had the Murphy twins, right? And we had talked about going into last year, okay, who's going to be Danton Lynn's Leatu Latu in the 2024 team? And there was none. There was none. Maybe it was Gentry, but Gentry was hurt, so it's hard to say.
And a different kind of player.
And a different kind of player. This year, I don't know if there is a 1-for-1 with Leatu Latu, but in terms of a guy being the havoc man, it is Gentry, right? It's not a 1-for-1. They don't play the exact same kind of role and that kind of stuff. But Gentry is the havoc man, and Leatu Latu was the havoc man for Danton Lynn. Looking at the numbers, that UCLA team in 2023 only gave up 300 passing yards twice. One of them was Caleb Williams throwing for 384 yards in November. The other one was Noah Fafita, who threw for 300 yards. But they also didn't play Bo Nix. They didn't play against Michael Penix. So take that for what it's worth. But
that's the concern here, is that all of these, the dependence on just creating havoc plays and that being the reason why you get turnovers, it gets a lot harder to do that the better quarterbacks that you play, because they're going to be more capable of staring down your rush and still keeping their cool and keeping their calm and making plays. And, USC is going to face significantly better quarterbacks than, what they faced with Purdue or either of the other two teams that USC has played this year.
Yeah.
I don't know that they're going to play anybody of the caliber. I mean, the good news is they're not going to play the murderer's row of the 2023, Bo Nix, Michael Penix, and that whole lineup of quarterbacks that were it was pretty absurd, the quarterback talent that USC saw that year. But Illinois brings a pretty tough quarterback to the table. Michigan, Michigan has, yes, he's a true freshman.
He's talented.
But Bryce Underwood is talented, and he's coming into his own, and he's starting to feel confident. Same with Notre Dame and CJ Carr. Obviously, Dylan Raiola is a talented guy. So I think USC is going to be facing maybe not fully formed quarterbacks. Next year, this lineup of quarterbacks would be...
But guys who could do damage.
Yes, but there are guys who could do damage, and there are guys who maybe you can't just have it be about, well, I got in his face and so I forced created an opportunity for an interception.
Yeah.
that's going to be pretty tough to have that being your leading defensive identity.
Mm-hmm.
Except the only, again, the saving grace here is that with the exception of Altmaier, USC is playing a lot of young quarterbacks in the first year of starting.
And pressure is
often what undoes those quarterbacks. So, it in the end, maybe USC does get away with that. I just think that most USC fans would prefer that USC do that and be pretty efficient as far as the defense is concerned when giving up yards and conversions.
I think, lastly, I have 3 thoughts here. One of them, there is a paralysis by analysis thing of we have a podcast, we have thoughts, and we're trying to come up with some sort of, clean, put a bow on it kind of argument about what USC is after an extremely small sample size of data to work with. The other thing is, I think there is some sort of PTSD of sorts with SC fans, and rightfully so, given that the last 2 seasons have been disappointing. In the last 2 seasons, SC is, 2 games over 500 in the regular season. They went 7-5 and 6-6 in the last 2 seasons. And so, there is this fear of disappointment that Lincoln Riley doesn't have the benefit of the doubt right now, all that kind of stuff. But my last thought here is, we've talked before about FEI and how if you look at the FEI ratings, SC is between 16 and 18 in each of Lincoln Riley's 3 seasons. And in a lot of ways, SC has played somewhat similarly in all those 3 seasons. The difference being, in 2022, SC had a Heisman-winning quarterback. Also, they had a defense that relied on turnovers, and they won close games because of that. They won all but one of those really close games, right? In 2023, in 2023, they had a defense that didn't allow them to win close games with the Heisman-winning quarterback, defending Heisman-winning quarterback. In 2024, they played a million close games, in part because of their defense kept them in those games to play a bunch of close games, but they didn't have the quarterback, and they lost almost every close game, right? Mm-hmm. But the reality is that you look at the metrics and the numbers and the analytics are saying that SC is essentially the same team when you balance out the offense and the defense. They're essentially the 16th, 17th, 18th best team in the country. And so they should be like a 9-3. And maybe the 9-3 is the middle ground. The year that they went 11-1, they didn't play Oregon and Washington, and maybe that would have been different too. And the year after they did play Oregon and Washington, if they didn't play them, maybe it all balances out to 9-3. Who knows? So you look at it now, and I think that 2025, I think the simplest Occam's razor of all of this is that we should look at 2025 as sort of the amalgamation of the last 3 seasons. There's going to be little bits of everything.
Yeah,
because on offense, right now, the offense looks very efficient like 2022. The defense making a lot of turnovers like 2022. The defense is also limiting scoring opportunities like 2024. You put it all together, and right now SC is number 9 in FEI, but it's early in the season. But I think that SC is probably just going to prove that they are, that 16, 17, 18th best team in the country until we're proven wrong, that they're going to be closer to what SC's metrics have shown that they actually should be during the Lincoln Riley era. Last note before we get to other stuff. Right now, SC is number 9 in FEI. Actually, I just noticed the FEI is not updated. So they were number 9 through week 2.
The FEI is not updated?
It's not updated.
Huh.
It usually updates on Mondays, but
maybe it's
not updated yet.
Early.
So, we'll circle back on that thought that I was going to have, which was that USC's defense is the lowest rated defense of the like top 10 teams. You have to go all the way down to number 33 to find a team that has a worse defense.
Well,
and it's Illinois.
I know that you hate. Well, that's fun. I know that you hate FPI. But USC is rated number 6 overall in that, 3rd on offense, 27th on defense, which is it's not quite the same because TCU is number 5 and Vanderbilt's number 4, and they have the 31 and 19th ranked defenses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know we're gonna get to it. Yeah. Badger wants us to get to the Roto meters. Let's do that. All right, the Roto meter. When last we spoke was at 6.94 after USC's Georgia Southern game. The Rotbots have put in their votes on what the Roto meter should be. So I'm going to run down these. Somebody says 4 because of just the defense. A lot of 7, still not consistent on both sides of the ball. Somebody says 7. Judge Jarrett needs to be halfback number 1, but didn't tell us much of anything for the tougher slate. There's a bunch of 8s. The defense, 8. We broke the East Coast losing streak and got a solid win. It could have been better, but it wasn't bad. 8. I'm much more confident Mayava will be decent this year. Someone says 5. Defense still giving up too many big players, cannot get off the field on 3rd down. There was a 9. This one says Mike and Allie, which is definitely our favorite nicknames.
My dad calls me Ollie.
This is true, yeah. I'm going to start giving SC a 9 out of 10 this week for your infamous Roto meter. SC is certainly making a case for itself, but they are still not sponge-worthy. If they keep winning, I will change my mind. Love, Chappie.
I get that reference.
You do?
I do. That's exciting.
Wow, look at you.
I get it.
You got it. In the chat, Grant says 7.5. Buddy MC says 7. Tim and LA and Matthew say 8. Last one to read. Someone says 5. My week 3 Roto meter went from a 4 to a 5 simply because the team didn't collapse in the fourth quarter. That's from Britton Irvine. All right, the average 6.7. It went down.
6.7.
You're cooking today.
Just saying.
You're cooking. All right, so it went down. We will move it on the little thing here. If I can get it to move. Up. It's a little finicky. Okay, we're not going to move it. We're going to pretend that it. Hold on. What if I go here? Now can I go back up there? Yeah, there we go. That's like a 6.7, right? That's like a 6.7. 6.7.
6.7.
Yeah. All right, let's get to over-under.
So you're going over.
I'm going bold. Give me that over. I got to take an under. I got 3 unders to take. I'm going to do an under here.
Alicia, this might be my favorite segment of all time.
See, maybe I should have let
this is the Michael episode.
Maybe I should have let over-under die.
Woo.
I'm regretting some things.
I'm not. I'm glad we brought it back.
Badger's regretting some things, too.
Badger's really glad that we brought it back. This week's lines, of course, we had 16.5 Wayman Jordan carries. It was over. He had 17. Jacoby Lane, 1.5 skill moves. We're going with under. It was an attempted skill move for the one-handed catch.
But he didn't pull
either way,
any of them
it was
off.
under. Yeah. Which I would have given it to him if there were a bunch of attempts but no pull-offs. But there was only one attempt.
No, he had two one-handed. Oh, no,
the other one was
Hines. That's right.
Yeah. Michael Jackson, the third, it was over under 5.5 catches. It was over. He had 7.
He was looking good until late. He wasn't really doing much until late.
He was doing that Amarian thing. Purdue, Colorado, same uniforms, 2.5. Over under 2.5 USC gains of 30+ yards. That was under. SC only had 2. They had a bunch of 20-yard gains, but only 2 over 30, and there were the 2 long passes downfield to Jacoby Lane. 0.5, over under 0.5 USC tight end touchdowns. It was under 0. There were no passing touchdowns in this game for Jaden Mayava. USC had 2 touchdowns on offense, and they were both runs, a run by Mayava himself and Wayman Jordan. And the last one was 29.5 King Miller rushing yards. He did play. He was under 17. He had 17.
He was RB3, and I think if this game had been a little bit less close. If USC had managed to maybe score another touchdown in the second half and pulled away a little bit more, I think we would have seen a lot more of King Miller. Unfortunately, because USC sort of kept it, out of touching range, but still just a little bit nervous.
Yeah.
We didn't get to see as much of him.
All right, we put out the good old Google form. People made their picks. You made your picks. I made my picks. Alicia, you went 1-5.
I don't want to talk about it.
Wow. I went 5-1, but here's the best part. It was a utter catastrophe in terms of all the picks. True carnage among the Rotbots. It was so bad. Everybody was so bad this week. I say this with love. There were some 4-2s, like, reigning champs. Scotty C went 4-2. Dave in Orange County went 4-2. HH and HB, Nathan Whittier, Big Poppy 55, DJ, John Clown went 4-2. But only one person went 5-1, and you're looking at him.
Matthew said he went 0-6 for over-under, which answers my question about whether or not I'm at the bottom of the list. Sorry, Matthew, I feel your pain.
Yeah. Tim in LA says, I wonder if I even got one of those picks. Yeah, it was bad. Everybody did bad. Except me. So I'm glad that we're competing against the Rotbots now. This is beautiful. I will bask in this glow forever. Vegas was SC by 21. FEI, SC by 19.7. Your score prediction was 35-24. And my score prediction was 38-20. Of course, SC won 33-17. We were around it. We were definitely around it. We were flirting with it.
Well, I mean, if Bishop Fitzgerald doesn't get that interception,
you're really close.
I think I was expecting one of those drives to, create another touchdown, and was very close. But no dice. Yeah. Good. I mean, good job, Bishop Fitzgerald, for ruining my prediction. I'm happy for him to have done that.
Yeah. West Texas Mike in the chat says, does this show take any personal responsibility for the Rotbots doing so poorly? No, I enjoy it. I revel in it if I'm going to be in first. If I'm going to be in first, I'm going to revel in it. Plus, we got this.
Have to commend you, Michael.
Yes, exactly. Stop your whining, dog. All right, let's get to all right, let's get to the mailbag, shall we?
You've got mail.
All right, let's start with a voicemail.
We're not going to stalk our exes?
Did you actually do that?
I threw it together, yeah.
You said you didn't do anything for the rundown.
I may have been doing it during the show, Michael. I had a lot of free time.
All right. Back to stalk our exes.
All right, really quick. Amarian Peterson with UTSA, 5 carries, 9 yards, not a big game for him. Emmanuel Pregnon had a solid 66.8 rating for Oregon in PFF. He has had a 66 in every game thus far. Zach Branch had a big game for Georgia against Tennessee, 5 catches, 69 yards, and a touchdown. The touchdown that he had came on a little bubble screen where it was nice. Showed some real jets that we were missing at USC last year. Zion Branch had 1 tackle in that game. Rajon Davis for Oregon State had 2 tackles versus Texas Tech. Deuce Robinson, Cade Eldridge, Mason Murphy were all on byes, along with Miller Moss and Dennis Lynch, so we won't hear from them. Bear Alexander had 5 tackles, a solo, and a half sack, but his PFF grade was a woeful 46.5.
Yikes.
So, yikes. And then, of course, Sam Green had 3 tackles for Kentucky, and Michael Jackson III, 7 catches, 70 yards against his former Trojans.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely a big hit and miss week from the former Trojans. Zachariah Branch had a great game. Caught the 2-point conversion to tie it late, too. Good for him. All right, let's get to the mailbag. Voicemail from Michael. Here's what Michael in the 563 had to say.
Hey, guys. This is Michael in the 563. Why do I have the feeling, even though it's 30-17, that the final score is going to be 31-30? This deja vu all over again like last year? Sure feels like it. Hope I'm wrong. Talk to you later. Bye.
Yeah, it had a lot of people feeling that way, right?
I mean, I had the here we go again for sure. And then, I thinking back on the game, it wasn't ever that close. Like, I was rewatching you put together the highlight reel of the watch along this time. And while we were watching it, like, I was thinking, we don't really have like a lot to be afraid of.
PTSD, baby.
It's definitely PTSD because realistically, I mean, again, they left the door open, but there was really no danger.
Yeah. There was no danger in hindsight. I want to go find a Purdue podcast and see what Purdue people were thinking. I'm curious. Like, were they thinking that this was as gloom and doom, or as close to a comeback as SC fans thought it was?
Well, considering what we heard from them before the game, I have to imagine they weren't terribly displeased by their performance.
To the Indy Star Purdue podcast before the game, and it was mostly a Purdue's not in the business of having a binary happy sad kind of thing. If you win or lose, you can be satisfied with a performance that shows that the trajectory is up, which I think makes sense given they won one game last year, right? So yeah. All right, let's get to a call from LA Fred.
Hey, Rainer Troy, this is LA Fred calling. A few things that stood out to me watching the game Saturday night, other than the rain delay. Still think the offensive line struggles to get a push at times, especially in short yardage situations. Also, as I rewatched some of the running plays, they really have a tough time getting up to the second level of the defenders, which allowed Purdue's linebackers largely to run free and clear all night to make plays. On the defensive side, I thought the front seven played pretty well, especially in the pass rush. They accounted for 5 sacks and 10 tackles for loss, which is great. I'm still concerned about some of the run fits, however. Purdue running backs were able to have huge holes and big gashes sometimes, and I really think that might come back to bite us when we play teams with more speed. With the pressure that the front seven was able to get, one of my biggest complaints was how far off the ball the secondary was playing off the wide receivers. They were 10 to 15 yards off and backpedaling as the ball was snapped. That allowed for easy, quick slant routes to be wide open all night long. I sure wish Danton would have a place to bump coverage, at least just to knock the wide receivers off their routes once in a while. Lastly, how great was it to see the big man touchdown by Jamal Jarrett? This program is learning how to close games and how to win. Saturday night was a perfect example. It was a game so similar to several that we watched last year where USC would blow a late lead, but I still think they're another year or two away in recruiting from having the size and the athletes needed to compete for a national championship. Just my opinion, but as I watch the other heavy hitters from around the country, that's what I can't help but feel. Have a good week. Beat Sparty. Fight on, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Fred. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with like everything that you're saying here. It was a hot and cold game. There were moments in which a lot of things that you can look at it and say, yes, this is SC, showing that they've improved and they've answered the bell and all that stuff. And then there's other things where it's like, yeah, there maybe a little bit too much cushion on defense. And absolutely when, Ryan Brown is 7 of 8 on passes over the middle. That's frustrating. That's absolutely frustrating. SC does get the win. And yeah, Josh Jarrett's, touchdown, thick 6 was just tremendous. Absolutely tremendous. Let's go to a call from Dave, who I believe mentions the thick 6.
Great Detroit Radio. What's up? This is Dave from Orange County. Well, it's a victory. It's a victory on the road. First one since 2012 in the East Coast time zone. It was wonky, the weather delay for 3 hours. It just had all the fixins, all the recipe of a disaster. Because sure as shit last year, it would have been a disaster and we would have found a way to lose the game. And for a few moments there, it seemed like it was starting to turn that way. And then next thing you know, little play goes our way. 6-6. That's priceless right there. I love that description. Just puts a smile on your face. You love to see the big man rumbling, bumbling, stumbling down the field for the touchdown. That's just awesome. Jada Maeva looks good, not great. The whole team looked good, not great, but we just made those plays that we needed to make that found a way for us not to lose like we would have last year, to win this year. And that's what we're looking for. You know, the Roto meter 7.25 takes up just a skosh, because we got that win. We got the test. We didn't ace the test, but we passed the test. We got that good solid B. Fight out.
Thanks for the call, Dave. Yeah, good, not great, I think perfectly sums up this game. I do think that it's better this game was on the road to feel like, oh, well, at least they won a road game and they showed some mettle there. Because if this was at home, I think people would be lower on the Roto meter.
Oh, absolutely, because I think you can excuse some of the, some of the sloppiness, some of the just like lackluster moments to being on the road. Mm-hmm. If you played like this against Purdue at home, I would have pretty significant concerns about this team's ability to compete with the rest of the schedule. So, yeah, it's still hard to separate this game and this performance from the circumstances of this game and this performance. Yeah. Maybe we will have better context as the season goes on for whether or not this was a bright blinking red flag waving warning sign or whether it was just the road opener in the Big Ten with a 3-hour delay that USC ultimately won relatively comfortably.
Yeah.
If not just the thing that USC failed to do in this game was to win impressively.
Yeah.
and I guess you're not always going to do that.
Ryan in the chat says Purdue podcast think they got screwed with the rain delay, lost juice from fans, etc. I think there is a way that you, like, just on the surface, Purdue was better in the second half than the first half, right? I think that you could absolutely take it as that they had a slow start because of the rain delay and all that stuff, and that's why SC took advantage early and all. That could be a thing. I don't know. Everything's going to be proven as we go forward with further games. Either way, SC needed to prove that they could win a game like this when shit hit the fan, and they did, which is, I think, encouraging. Let's get to Dan in Valley Village.
Hey, Rain of Troy, it's Dan from Valley Village. Just listening to the CarCast right now on a beautiful Sunday morning, and I'm realizing that upon reflection from last night's game, what Alicia was saying is that the "here we go again" sort of mantra for us fans is that's how I felt all of the game. I was waiting for the other shoe to drop, and in fact, when they had that weirdly two-pass backwards sort of touchdown, I was like, oh, this is the moment that USC finds a way to lose this game. This is the moment the wheels come off. This is the moment we've all been fearing, and I could not shake that feeling at all in that game. And maybe it's kind of just because I've been burned so many times by this team, but it was one of those games where I was like, I am anxious from start to finish, and really, if Purdue had been just a little bit better, we could have easily lost that game. Like, had their offense just been a tinge bit better, our defense would have dropped that game, and we would have lost. That is my biggest concern. Any other better team in the Big Ten is gonna find this team and expose them. So, what are your thoughts on that? Love you guys.
Yeah, thanks for the call. I agree. As somebody who was very anxious and continues to be anxious while watching this team, there was a reason why we were all nervous. And yes, it is PTSD and all of that kind of stuff from last season, but that was ripe for being the moment. And I think that one of my concerns about USC specifically after that moment is it would have been really nice to see the offense go out and put this game away. And instead, for the rest of the game after that touchdown, USC has two field goal drives on offense. And it's the Jaw Jarrett interception return that puts the game away. So I'm not drawing conclusions yet about the game. I'm not drawing conclusions about the offense or the quarterback, but the offense didn't answer my questions about whether or not they can be the ones that go out and win a game. These are questions that still need answering, and you can get away with 3 field goal drives in the second half against Purdue. You can't get away with settling for 3 field goal drives against Illinois or Notre Dame or Michigan or Nebraska or, Oregon, anybody. So that's things that that USC's offense needs to figure out. Now, the one thing I will say is that perhaps this is and I'm grasping at straws here, but USC didn't really, offensively, didn't really need to be on in the third or fourth quarter in the first 2 games. This was the first second half that this first team offense had to go out and be,
That's an interesting point.
Be up for it. So
first 60-minute game they had to play.
Yeah, so maybe it was just a little bit of malaise. Maybe it was just a little bit of, oh yeah, we have to play 4 quarters and not just 2.5. So I don't know.
I'm so torn about the offensive performance because, yes, they stalled a bunch and they had a lot of troubles on third. I think they were 4 of 13 or something like that on third down. But every single drive, they moved way down. They weren't stopped in terms of moving. They moved the ball inside the 30 on every single drive. They got points or were attempting points on every single drive. The only time they didn't get points on a drive was Ryan Thierry's missed field goal, which he was due one given all the ones that he had made, right? So, the offense needed to finish off those drives, but, it was still helpful that they were getting field goals when the defense was sort of struggling. And then the other thing I think about is WE in the chat says our fan base loves a good if. Yeah, last year, we looked at all the games and if Woody Marks got in on fourth down against Washington. Oh, if Gentry was there against Minnesota, maybe he makes a play. Oh, if they can make the tackle against Khalil Mullins at Michigan. Oh, if Miller Moss doesn't throw the interception against Maryland. Oh, if he doesn't throw the interception against Penn State, right? All these ifs. If Mayava doesn't throw the 2 pick sixes against Notre Dame. If. Well, this was a game in which the ifs went SC's way, right? SC won the ifs. It's still in a game that, had that weird double pass.
Yeah, but again, it's should you be relying on getting those ifs going in your favor in a game against Purdue? Now, maybe it's just maybe I am being a little bit too harsh, and maybe it's the road game. It doesn't really matter who your opponent is. You just got to find a way to win, and I think that is a valid thing. But we're kind of talking a little bit about the feelings of what a game sort of the vibes as opposed to the results is sort of what the ifs come down to. So I don't know. It's hard to Badger, it's hard to concentrate when you're barking like that.
We need to teach this dog consent. Badger. He's trying so hard to play with Jesse, and Jesse does not want to play. And so then he just barks at Jesse. And Jesse's like, what is wrong with this man?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys. Yeah.
He's a puppy. We're trying.
I know. All right. Trojan Fight says, if we got a PI call versus Penn State on back. Yeah, there's always ifs. There's always ifs. And this is why, I was willing to hear Lincoln Riley out with the we're 4 plays away thing because, there were very obvious if plays, but also, you can't stack up that many ifs, right? I feel like you can make the if argument maybe once a season. Notre Dame can say, well, if they got the holding call on that last play from Marcel Reed, you know what I mean? At the end of if that's their big loss that keeps them out of the playoff, they can say if. If you have 8 different ifs, well, then you have a pattern of not making the plays to overcome the ifs, and that's a trend.
And that's on you. Yeah.
Yes, right.
If every game you're talking about the ifs, then it's something that you're doing.
Right.
Like you said, there is always one game a season where,
yes.
I mean, it's the 2008 Oregon State game. Like, if Booty puts that pass in a different
2006.
Sorry, 2006. If the batted pass, or any one of his batted passes, it changes the season, it changes the game. So, Badger, come here. Come.
I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, no, he's in full blown teenager tantrum mode.
If you guys want to adopt the dog, rantoftroy@fanshead.com. No, I'm kidding. All right. Let's get to a review. We got a 5-star review from Alex. Alex says, 5 stars. I've been a listener since 2018 and can honestly say this is the only podcast that I've consistently listened to over the years. Mike and Alicia are very articulate and insightful about everything USC football. What I love most about the show is how well they put the college football world as a whole into perspective and not just focus on USC. Being a USC fan from Illinois, I'm the only USC fan I know. This show has given me a Trojans community to interact with and celebrate or grieve with. The live YouTube shows are an awesome addition the last few years, and being able to ask questions on live on the show is amazing. Lastly, Alicia's use of the word like is 100% appropriate, and Michael Seinfeld references always make me laugh.
Thank you so much, Alex, for the review. That's awesome. And hey, you're as the only USC fan in Illinois, you're getting your moment. Yeah. You're getting your moment. Yeah. So I hope you enjoy USC coming to Illinois. Not that they don't ever come to the state of Illinois because of the Notre Dame of it all, but
the band goes.
The band goes to Chicago, is what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not saying USC. Yeah.
Yeah. West Texas Mike in all caps. Stop writing your own reviews. I promise.
We had Badger write that one, guys.
Yeah. It's Badger GPT wrote that one. Yeah. But speaking of, let's go to an email from Squirrel. I had planned a bit that I was going to say that this is from Jesse's nemesis that I can't say the name of, but I just said it. No, but from SQ. Been watching / listening. This is an email. I've been watching / listening to you guys for quite a while. Just want to say thanks. Well, I don't always agree with your takes. I completely respect them, as it's clear you know what you're talking about are reasonable and passionate as USC as I am. Your carcasts, maybe more than others, are especially enjoyable and therapeutic. Since I'm in the car far too much and the two of you just calm me down, it's like listening to two close friends of mine, and that dissolves any road rage that may be simmering with the volume of asshats that succeed at triggering me. Most of the time, you guys are just vocalizing all the thoughts that are festering. In a world where not enough gratitude is expressed, it's worth trying to change the trend. Fight on. Gratefully, SQ, as Alicia and I tend to say.
Oh, thank
around
you.
Jesse.
Thank you, SQ.
Yeah.
That was really sweet. That's really, I'm glad that we are, especially glad that we're therapeutic. That's sort of the vibe we're going for.
No, that a lot of last year, a lot of people said that the carcasts were therapy. Last 2 years, right? Last 2 years have been, stressful and all those things. So,
those rooms. Those rooms that I don't know what they're called. The like the destruction rooms where you get to go in and like use a hammer to destroy stuff.
Oh, this is not where I thought you were going with this. I thought you were going like the really dark way of like when people are in a have to be in a safe room.
Oh God, no!
Like, I thought that's where I'm like,
no. I mean, like they have. There's a name for them where you go and like you go in and rage rooms. They're called rage rooms, and you go in with like it's something that an experience you get to do.
Smash the car.
Yeah, kind of like that. The reason I know about these is because I keep getting fed on TikTok. People whose videos from their rage rooms, they're talking about like, I thought I was really raging, and then you see the video and it's just them going like, it's just like, Got to do better at raging. But yeah, I feel like the CarCast last year were my own personal rage room. So yeah, it was therapeutic for me at least.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we appreciate you guys. And West Texas Mike, I promise we didn't write that. I promise. Brandon in the chat says, "Does Michael eat bacon yet?" Okay, here's the deal. I'm going to fully come clean. I've been more exploratory. I really have. I've tried. I want to like bacon. I've always wanted to like eggs and that kind of like it. Life would be. I think people think that I want to have the taste that I have. You know? No, I want to be able to like it. I don't want to be the guy that goes to a restaurant and has to order everything. I don't want to be that. Especially with my anxiety. Are you kidding? The last thing I want to do is be like the guy who has to, order a burger plain and then hope that they don't screw it up. You know what I mean? But in terms of bacon, I've come around on eggs. I'm now a scrambled eggs guy. The other versions of eggs just look terrible, especially with texture. Look disgusting. But I'm around on scrambled eggs. Bacon. We did a bacon test with our family friends last year. There was one of them that I didn't mind. Like,
if I remember correctly, it was like a thick cut, like bougie, not smoke. Was it? I think it wasn't smoked.
It probably wasn't because I don't like this. I don't like smokiness.
Yeah.
Like I like natural smoke. I don't like liquid smoke taste.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
Brandon knows this. Like, smoked brisket, give it to me. Putting liquid smoke in something to sort of like add the essence of that thing.
Hate liquid smoke. But you can get good bacon that's smoked. That's not like, the flavoring isn't coming from liquid smoke. But
right.
It was all I remember really about it. It was thick cut and it was bougie. Like it was from a bougie brand. So.
No,
of course.
That's fair. I will say the other thing is, I'm not saying I've started to eat pepperonis, but I have started to eat pepperonis in the sense that like
he's married to a woman who always gets pepperoni on her pizza, and also a woman who
eats like a bird.
Doesn't eat her pizza like it takes me a while to eat a pizza, so there's always leftover of my pizza.
We have a 36-hour rule.
Yeah.
Any leftovers that have been in the fridge for 36 hours, claimable.
Yeah, and it's almost always got pepperoni on it, so he's got to live with the pepperoni if he wants the pizza.
Well, either I will take the pepperoni off.
Well, he's now trained the dog, like psychologically trained the dogs that if there is pizza, there are pepperonis, and they don't realize that they aren't getting pepperonis from me.
Yeah.
Nobody's taking my pepperonis, but from Michael, if Jesse's sitting there next to him.
But sometimes I just don't have the effort to peel them off, and I'll eat the thing. Though I've decided pepperoni pizza just is inferior. And in part because pepperoni pizza doesn't have enough cheese.
Well, that's fair. I always prefer
so like
cheese.
I don't know if you've noticed, but when I order your pizzas now,
you get extra cheese?
I order extra cheese on your pepperoni pizzas.
I appreciate that. And now I'm getting I'm all
like
all about the cheese because I get the stuffed crust now from now that Domino's has it.
This is like why the Costco pizzas that the cheese is actually fattier than the pepperoni in terms of calories. It's because the cheese has extra cheese and the pepperoni has a less amount of cheese. So extra cheese itself has more calories than the pepperoni is.
I will give you Costco pizza in the pepperoni or cheese debate because I have actually come around to the idea that the cheese pizza from Costco is better than their pepperoni pizza.
Yeah, the pepperoni pizza doesn't have enough cheese, and their cheese pizza is incredible.
West Texas Mike says, there's not a sandwich I don't stick a runny egg on.
Ugh.
I'm a runny egg on sandwiches, on pizza. I love a second day. I mean, a leftover pizza slice with an over easy egg on it. There's also the great tragedy of my IBS is that the way I know that my IBS is flaring up is the moment I have runny egg yolk, like my stomach says, nope, that's not happening. So
I can't hear IBS and not think that it just means I be shitting.
I mean, it literally does. I mean, there are different forms of IBS.
Sure, yeah.
But one of them is definitely I be shitting.
Yeah.
The other one is I be not shitting. So
that's fair. Funny on MC says, "You're like my grandson who's 9. Did your eating habits begin young?" So here's the thing: it's not eating habits. There's 3 things at play here. One of them, I'm objectively a super taster, verified. We took the test years ago, live on the pod actually. I am a super taster, so I taste things different than all of y'all taste. Like, this is why there's so many things that I just cannot fathom how... There are things that I understand that, like, this is not for me, right? A lot of barbecue sauces. This is not for me. This is just not my... I can understand that somebody else likes this, but this is not for me. I can understand that with a lot of foods. But things like wine, most beers, like... They're so incredibly foul and bitter, and coffee.
Well, they're complex flavors
that I can't imagine a world in which anyone thinks that they are right. And that, like, to me, that just proves that, like, you're not tasting it the way that I taste it. Because if you tasted it the way I taste it, you would not like it. I swear to God.
I disagree, though, because, like,
we're tasting different things.
I don't
work the same way.
I don't think it's that we're tasting different things. I think that you can have a palate that is more basic and a palate that is more sophisticated because, and I know this because
mine is more sophisticated.
My palate for wine has developed the more that I've drank wine. Like the more I've experienced, and I know that people say this about beer too. I just haven't gone down the beer road. It's like I suspect that if I well, I don't know, because IPAs and the hops and all that kind of stuff, it tastes like soap to me. But like, I think there's probably a world where if I was more interested in the complex sort of bitterness of a beer, that you could convince me that with the right like food pairing or whatever, that I could start to develop a more sophisticated beer palate. Yeah. But there is a development of that palate, and I
genuinely, it's not the same for me.
Because you've never let it be the same.
That's not true. You know how many times we go to a place that has beer, and there are a few blonde beers that I like. Dallas Blonde in Texas. I very much like Dallas Blonde. I very much like a Scottsdale Blonde in Scottsdale, whatever company makes that. I like that. So whenever I see a blonde on a menu, I will order the blonde in hopes that it tastes like that. It never does. The number of times I've had a blonde, and it tastes like rotten milk to me. And I'm telling you, it's not just
I don't taste it the same.
I'm telling you. Like,
I've never...
A cult style beer or whatever tastes like rotten milk to me.
What?
I'm telling you, we don't taste it the same way. I fully understand that some of the stuff is just, I don't like this texture, right? Like, I don't want a runny egg because that texture sounds absolutely disgusting to me. But I can understand how somebody likes it. But when it comes to like...
Yeah, the texture thing you got to get over, because like there are a few joys in life quite like a well-cooked runny egg. It's truly one of the great joys in life is like a really well-cooked like Eggs Benedict. Just...
Find out Natty says that I can't drink beer with food. I like to taste my food. I respect this. I very much enjoy. I very much enjoy a lemonade. I enjoy a fruity soda, like a grape soda, a strawberry soda. Occasionally, I will do a root beer, but small doses, a little strong and medicinal tasting. But not with food. I can't have those with food because it takes away the sanctity of the meal. I need a lemonade by itself so that way it doesn't taint the chicken tenders. You know what I mean?
I mean, there are certain foods that you definitely don't want to be drinking certain things with. I get that. But also, like, pizza and a beer. Like, a beer just tastes good with pizza, or a beer and, like, a...
My dad has always been very firm that you cannot eat pizza with anything but a beer or soda. And I thoroughly agree. But I also thoroughly agree with any meal.
Wine too.
I think any meal needs to have something that's carbonated. You need that bite. You need that soda. That sody. That sody pop. You need it. You need... you have water with the meal, and it's sad. Like the people who are like water people at restaurants, you know, they say there's water families and there's soda families at restaurants. Genuinely, I think I would have off myself by now if I was in a water family.
No, well, my water
we were
family.
in a no apps and no dessert family, but like
I was in a soda family.
We weren't a water family. Thank God.
We were not. See, I had friends who were soda families in that they always had soda in the home. We never had soda in the home, but whenever we went out, we were
not having soda in the home
is
as weird as not having cable.
We had cable.
I always thought that the kids that were the weirdest were I don't have cable, and I can't drink soda. It's like, okay, cool. Can't relate. Yeah.
I mean, again, more healthy. Yeah. The fact of the matter is, my sweet tooth is extremely sweet, and I like, Brandon in the chat says, Fight on Natty says Dr. Pepper sugarless iced tea. Sugarless iced tea is can't do it. Can't do it. No.
Sugarless. Do you just mean unsweetened iced tea?
Yeah, unsweetened iced tea.
Yeah. See, that to me is iced tea because my parents are big iced tea people. Mm-hmm. Which I will say, ordering iced tea at a restaurant, waste of money.
Yeah.
Because they charge you like a soda, but it's just like, it's like partially flavored water, right? I think iced tea absolutely can be refreshing, and I don't mind it from time to time, but way better than sweet tea. I don't like sweet tea. It's too sweet. But
I love sweet tea.
It's a little disappointing. It's like drinking a flat soda.
Here's the funny thing is that people always talk about, oh, it's too sweet this, oh, it's too sweet that. My best friend is a oh, it's too sweet person. And there are very, very few things that I find too sweet.
Again, because I'm a super taster, so I have a very sensitive tongue. Icing, too sweet.
Yes, no. Icing depends. Most icings are too sweet. The best icings are not too sweet.
That's fair, but even still, like
a buttercream frosting that isn't overwhelmingly sweet.
Candy corn.
Candy corn is gross. It's not too sweet. It's gross. It tastes bad.
That's fair, but candy corn I think is fine if you have 2 or 3 kernels. Not handfuls, kernels. Anything more than that is like, ugh. You know what else is too sweet for me that I just do not like? Coke Heavy. The older I get and the more I have Coke Heavy by accident, I'm like, I don't understand how people enjoy this more than Diet Coke.
I
don't get it.
I don't get you.
It makes your whole teeth feel all sticky. It's not crisp and refreshing.
See, I don't think this is super taster stuff, Michael.
Mm-hmm. No, that's texture stuff. That's the
Well, the texture stuff is.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, you talking about your teeth feeling sticky after eating
that's
Coke.
That's the tism.
There's some tisming going on.
Yeah.
No, I had to let you say it first.
Yeah. No, yeah. Jason in the chat says, the sanctity of chicken tenders just made half of Europe shudder like Obi-Wan after Alderaan got Death Starred.
Look at you pronouncing all of those correct.
Well, I've heard like Star Trek people talk about those, so I'm assuming
He's doing that on purpose. Yeah. Don't take the bait.
No, but there was Brandon up before somewhere said If you're putting sauce on it, you've screwed it up, right? And I think he's talking about barbecue, but I believe, I've said this a million times over, I believe this about most things. If you need to order your fries at In-N-Out animal style, you don't like the fries, you're admitting the fries suck ass and that they need to be waterboarded in secret sauce and cheese and whatever else they put on it. Onions and, a great chicken tender can be enjoyed by itself because I respect chicken tenders. I respect the flavor of a chicken tender. Do I like putting a chicken tender in a barbecue sauce that I like from time to time? Sure. In a little bit of mayo? Sure. In a little bit of ketchup? Sure. But I respect the sanctity of the fry, the chicken tender, all of it. So,
Fight on Natty says if you're in a hurry to get diabetes, eat a cake from Mexico. Tres leches. My jam.
Brandon says, I rest my case on Cane's. Okay, here's the thing. I liked Raising Cane's. The first time I had it was in Baton Rouge. I thought, oh, this is really good. Then I moved to Arizona, and there's Raising Cane's in Arizona. And the more I had it, the more I'm like, this is fine. I felt about it the way that I felt about In-N-Out, where like an In-N-Out burger is good. But it's good for a fast food burger. Because if you're comparing it to McDonald's, an In-N-Out burger is incredible, right? If you're comparing it to what you can get for the same, well, this doesn't work for In-N-Out, but with Raising Cane's, for what you can get for the same price from Chili's or Applebee's or Vons or whatever, like in Arizona's case, fries, you know what I mean? From any sort of chicken tender from a mom and pop place, Raising Cane's is just extremely average. Extremely average. It's just good compared to a Burger King chicken tender. You know what I mean? And so I thought this, and then I think I haven't been to Raising Cane's in like 5 years until you and I went to one like 2 weeks ago.
It was pretty good.
We ate in. It was a dine-in experience. Everything was great. The dining experience was great. The service was great. They didn't do the little weird thing, look at you, ready to do, back a bin for the, like they didn't do one of those things. But the food was really great and fresh. I'm like, but okay, I think I get it. I'm back in.
It's fine. Like it's a perfectly acceptable meal. It's not worth,
Brandon says it lacks seasoning. I think it tends to, yes. I think a Raising Cane's tender is bland. I agree. Because it's a vehicle for the sauce. Again, you're admitting that it needs the sauce.
See, I'm with West Texas Mike here. Symphonies, concoctions, chemistry. That's what sauce and food and beer pairings are all about.
Yes.
Thank you, West Texas Mike.
I agree. But the guitar solo should still be good. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
That's all I'm saying.
That's fair.
That's all I'm saying.
I just know that like In-N-Out is an objectively good burger. Mm-hmm. But the people in Washington who are, in a line,
they're doing
7
that so
blocks
they can tell
down
their
the
friends
road
that.
to go. Like it's not worth a 2-hour wait. It's just a good burger. Like it's just not it.
In-N-Out is good until you realize that in LA there's a million Steves, Bills, Bobs, Tams, Toms that have way better burgers than In-N-Out. And so like, sorry, but I'm going to go, if I'm in the South Bay, I'm going to Louie's, or Steve's. I'm not going to In-N-Out because it's ass in comparison. Sorry.
Fight on Nat, or completely changing the subject. Fight on Natty's asks, what game are you playing right now, Alicia?
Mm-hmm.
Also,
this is how Big Ten brained I am. I saw RU and I thought he was talking about Rutgers.
Also, shout out to Mark in the chat that their daughter is applying to USC. Good luck. Good luck getting into USC. It's tough.
Absolutely.
Okay, what am I playing right now? When I'm not playing College Football 26, which I have finally done my team builder, create a team, the Rockhopper State Penguins, which I've been doing the last couple of nights. When I'm not playing that, I'm playing a game called Medieval Dynasty, which is a medieval life simulator city builder kind of thing. The conceit of it is that you are sort of dropped into a valley in the medieval time. You have to sort of build up your little hamlet by chopping down trees and building buildings and doing all the things. And then the idea of the game is that it's supposed to you're supposed to like get married and have a kid, and then the years go by fast enough. Like each day is a season. Or sorry, every 3 days is a season of the year, so you go through a year pretty quick. That you eventually get to the point where your son or your heir grows up, and then you as a player character become your like your new character, and your old character will die, and you will keep on playing the game as your heir, and then so on and so forth. So. Yeah, it's a good game. I'm enjoying it. There's a lot of like, fun survival stuff in the beginning, and then it sort of turns into more like city design and decoration, which is the stage I'm at. Yeah. But yeah, it's good.
I play with heirs too. I'm currently in the 2046 season of my dynasty in College Football 26. My running back, I'm at Oregon State. My running back is Jaden Love. My headcanon is it's Jordan Love's kid.
Okay.
Or it could be Bryce Love's kid. Maybe it's Bryce Love's kid.
I mean, it works.
Yeah. And I won my first national championship at Oregon State this past season. I'm very happy. I was playing offense only for like the first 15, 16 seasons and won a couple championships, but then I went to Oregon State. I'm like, okay, I'm going to start, playing defense and everything. This is my side league. It's not my main league, right? So that's why I felt like I could do that. But finally at Oregon State, I've won my first full playthrough national title, which feels good. Not that anyone asked about me. Cameron says, how is Jake from the What's Bruin Show doing after the coaching firing? I don't know. We haven't talked to him. I went to go listen to their episode after the New Mexico game. I'm sorry, but like mostly because I was curious. And it was a bit. It was just like a doomsday bit thing that I didn't quite understand, that is probably some weird Gen X joke that he makes that I don't understand.
Yeah, the last texts we exchanged with him were doomsdaying over the possibility of starting 0-4. And the last text we got from him was in the middle of the New Mexico game, and it said if New Mexico, no, next week is New Mexico. What did you said at New Mexico next week is going to be crazy stressful. He said, or liberating, if New Mexico could convert 4 firsts. ... That
was in the first half.
Yeah. We haven't heard from him since.
You do a wellness check, yeah. Jason, we're going random here, but this is fun. Jason in the chat says, I went to Corvallis for the first time this summer. Who knew it was so close to Eugene? We've done the drive from LA to Seattle a bunch in the last few years. Honestly, I think it's my favorite drive. It's a very good drive. It's a very good drive. But yes, Eugene and Corvallis are incredibly close. Also, I like Eugene a lot. We always say that we should drive to Corvallis but it's, what's that?
These were headphones.
Is that what Badger just took down?
That is what he just ate. Yep. So
818-643-7227 if you want to adopt.
At least these are the cheapo ones that like come with the iPhone when you get it. They're my backups for if I ever lose my AirPods, though. So,
all right. So in light of Jason's thing about who knew it was so close to Eugene, Alicia, let's wrap this up with me going on a weird rant that is completely has nothing to do with anything, but it's just one of my newfound pet peeves. And I literally thought about this last night because I went on this like long tangent, this long like obsession internet rabbit hole about the Denver airport. Not the weird stuff though. Mostly I was interested in it replacing the Stapleton airport, and like it was crazy that the runway went over I-70 and it was weird, all this stuff. Here's my complaint. Again, this has nothing to do with anything. I'm sorry. If you want more USC football stuff, we'll be back Wednesday. I am over people saying that the Denver airport is so far away. Is it out of town? Yes. Is it more? Is it further away than most airports? Almost all airports? Yes. It ain't that far away. As the crow flies, it's like 17 miles from downtown Denver. What? You know how far away O'Hare is from the Loop? DFW from downtown Dallas? SeaTac. You know how much of a pain in the ass it is to get to SeaTac from downtown Seattle? Why? The only reason people say this about the Denver airport, which is easy to get to because the traffic is not bad because you're out in the middle of nowhere, the sticks, and so you're able to get there quickly. The only reason people say this is because there's no suburbs around there. So there's nobody who gets a benefit from being close to the airport that way. It's the only reason people say this. Like, SeaTac, you cannot tell me that SeaTac is in a good spot if you live in downtown Seattle proper. You can't. You know how much a pain in the ass it is to get to SeaTac?
It's way longer to get to LAX.
Yes, but
there isn't an airport that it's not a pain in the ass to get to, in my opinion.
No, I agree. But these people act like as if Heathrow is like right inside freaking London City. Like, it's not. Yeah, most airports. There's only so many airports that can be exactly downtown, like Phoenix, San Diego, Boston. Most airports are not like that. Most of them are not. West Texas Mike says it's the random rant. Is Michael trying to get a Denver radio? I don't know.
This is
I told you. I literally spent like 3 hours last night looking up archival footage of stuff of the old Stapleton Denver airport.
Listen, sometimes I think that I get way too passionate about things that really don't matter to my life.
Yeah.
And then I talk to you again and I'm like, "Oh yeah, no." No, I don't have strong
SFO
opinions
is easy
about
to get to?
I don't have strong opinions about the airports that I don't go to ever. The only thing I care about right now is K-pop Demon Hunters, which is my current hyperfixation. I've moved on from Taylor Swift to K-pop Demon Hunters. Basically, my husband's worst nightmare.
I very much enjoyed yesterday. You were watching something. I'm like, what are you watching? You're like, oh, I'm watching a video. It's about a music album. I'm like, oh, okay. So then Badger went over and tried to mess up your laptop naturally. And I see that you had paused a thing about a Taylor Swift bullshit album. And I'm like, that's why she didn't say what it was. Because she knew that it wasn't real music. It was that garbage. So
no, I knew that you'd say garbage to it. Yeah. So,
yeah. All right.
Hey, actually, I'll mention this off the air because it's about my schedule.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We'll be back Wednesday. That's our schedule. Wednesday, 4 o'clock to preview SC and Michigan State. Go over to the YouTube channel if you're on there now. Go watch Alicia's compilation of the watch along from Purdue. Hear her live and die with every big play. So go check that out. We'll be back Wednesday though, 4 p.m. Pacific. As always, to preview USC and Michigan State. So that's on Wednesday. Until then, we will see you.
See ya.
See ya.